Chapter 6. The Week of Training. A week passed by. Leo had adjusted to the training routine a bit. His strength was now at 10, stamina at 11, agility at 9, and endurance at 11. Leo noticed something strange about the mysterious voice. In the dungeon, the voice had helped him become stronger, guiding him and offering new abilities. Now, it only stated his progress. He suspected this change occurred when he heard the sinister voice. Leo had also gotten closer with the other candidates. Ron, with his short stature at 5 feet 5 inches, turned out to be quite talented. Takeda, although a bit childish and convinced he was the main character of some story, possessed inhuman strength and endurance. Isolde, despite his initial arrogance, was more tsundere than narcissistic. He was undeniably the most talented among them. "Now, it looks like you guys are ready to learn swordsmanship," Orion announced. Normally, a regular human or other key users could take a few months to get to this point, but thanks to our holy key's healing capabilities, it only took us 1 week. He paused, surveying the group with a stern gaze. "Starting now, grab your wooden swords. Swing them 1,000 times vertically and horizontally each, and then 1,000 thrusts." The candidates groaned but followed his orders, ready to embrace the next level of their training. As Leo and his friends started following Orion's orders, another knight approached the captain. It was the knight who had initially found Leo, and his name was Caron. He saluted and then spoke. "Captain, we've investigated Leo's background. We couldn't find anything about him. It's as if he didn't exist until now." Caron paused before continuing. "However, I genuinely believe he has lost his memories. There hasn't been any suspicious activity from him. I don't think he has any ill intentions. But I feel like he's hiding something," Caron continued. "Sometimes he dozes off like he's listening to something, and once he even randomly collapsed while heading to the cafeteria with one of the candidates. Ron, I think he's keeping things from us because he doesn't trust us yet." Orion chuckled. "You know, Caron, you should have been a crime inspector instead of a knight. But I've noticed it too." "Caron, listen," Orion said, his tone suddenly serious. "What I'm about to tell you is top secret information. Only a few people know about it. Do you remember the time I raided the hardest dungeon to ever exist with my knight division? The Devil's Lair." Caron nodded, a bit nervous. "Yes, if I remember correctly, it was called the Devil's Lair." "Yeah," Orion replied. "When we finally killed the last evil entity there, we found something that we didn't even report to the king." His carefree face turned grave. "What was it?" Caron asked, his nerves on edge. "The so-called key we are using is actually an inferior version of something else," Orion said in a cold tone. Caron looked at Orion in shock. "How could it be? Why would our gods be using an inferior version of power?" he said, his voice filled with denial. Orion's eyes were cold and serious. "Well, it's just a theory so far, but we think that the ones we are actually calling gods are not the real gods. Instead, they are being controlled by the true God of this world. And I believe Leo might be the key to answering that question." Caron looked at the captain with a terrified face. Everything he knew about the world was starting to sound like a huge lie. He then asked Orion, "The mysterious power you noticed from Leo? Was it the power you were talking about?" Orion nodded in response. "Yes, it is," he said. Orion looked Caron in the eyes. "Listen, Caron. Leo might be the key to finding answers, but he could also be our destruction. We need to keep a close eye on him. He's a very talented kid. Even though this year's candidates were fewer, they are all talented." Holy Ki makes us stronger faster by healing our muscle quickly after training, but it still takes at least 1 month to grow that strong. Their progress is unusual. Orian's expression grew serious. Caron, I have an important mission for you. Go to the land of dragons and the demonic empire. Share the information with our contacts there. You know who I mean. Caron's face paled. But going to the demonic empire is practically impossible for us holy knights right now, he replied, worry evident in his tone. I know, Orian said with a reassuring smile, patting Caron's shoulder. But I trust you'll find a way. Something big is going to happen soon, and we need to prepare. We might even have to fight our so-called gods, Orian said while looking at Leo. But don't worry, Orian continued, his tone softening slightly. Even though it's early, I will teach you the first form of holy swordsmanship. You have 1 week to learn it. He paused, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. You will also be guided by an archer from the archer faction. Your mission is to investigate an area where monsters are rumored to be lurking. If the monsters are too strong, do not hesitate to retreat. You are the future of this nation, and your lives matter. Orian looked each of them in the eye, emphasizing the importance of their safety. Rest well. Your real training starts tomorrow. It is time to show the knights my true strength, Takeda proclaimed in an arrogant tone. I will finally be acknowledged, and soon beautiful girls will come running to me, complimenting my strength, he continued, clearly caught up in his own fantasies. Isolde, visibly annoyed, retorted. The only reason they will come to you is to fix their makeup by seeing their reflection in your clear, bald head. As Takeda and Isolde continued their verbal sparring, Leo turned to Ron. Hey, what is the holy swordsmanship? He asked. Oh, you don't know? Ron replied in a surprised tone. Basically, it was made for us Holy Ki users. This swordsmanship is perfect when you use Holy Ki, but it's not the strongest. Still, it's great. All Ki users who use Holy Ki learn this swordsmanship first. It has 2 forms, but I hear the second one is much harder to master. Ron noticed Leo's worried expression and said, Hey, don't worry. We have Takeda and Isolde. They're very talented. And you yourself are a monster in your own right, he added in a reassuring tone. Leo smiled, feeling grateful for the friends he'd made despite losing his memories. However, he suddenly wondered if he had friends before, or if his parents were alive. These questions hadn't come to him until now. But one thing he knew for sure, questioning wouldn't give him any answers. Right now, his main focus had to be on surviving.